Right, have we got Chris Abbott online? We do. Spokes Canterbury, Chris Abbott.
My video. I'll start my video and I'll unmute.
Yep, you're there. Welcome.
How's that? Well,
Brilliant.
thank you for giving me the chance to speak. I'm a bit early. You're a bit early, aren't you?
Well, it just means we're running an effective meeting this morning.
Which is really good to see now. I've just got to find my notes that I've got to speak to. So here we are. I'm there. Right. Am I online or all
Yes,
set at your end?
Everything is perfect, thank you.
Tickety-boo.
Yes, even that, tickety-boo.
Right, tickety-boo at my end now too. So I'm Chris Abbott. I'm Secretary and Submissions Convener for Spokes. Our mission is really to include cycling as an everyday form of transport within Canterbury and particularly within the greater Christchurch area. And we do this because it's the right thing to do for our planet. Witness the climate emergency declared by council, by other councils and by government. It's the right thing to do for ourselves, particularly for me. I find mental health is just much improved with it. But in terms of being physically active, it's just a good thing to do. And Christchurch is uniquely qualified as a great cycling city as it's flat and has low rainfall and an ever-improving cycle network. So with respect to cycling, any group of people can be categorised into 4 groups. I won't spell them out fully, but they're the strong and fearless, so the enthused and confident, the interested but concerned, and this is the group that the major cycle routes are targeted at. It's bringing those that otherwise would not cycle out to cycle and improve their mental and physical health, and also reduce the amount of cars on the road. And of course, there's always the no way, no how, and that's fine. They're entitled to their views and we leave them to themselves. Now, since the earthquakes, and thanks to the council and also to government, the network of major cycle routes in Christchurch has grown considerably, with passionate debate on many occasions. And it now looks like, and can I share my screen to you?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Where do I do that? I suppose I'll go back to the Zoom meeting. And I go share screen. And it won't be, sorry, just before I do that, I'll get the right thing up on that screen if I may. Hopefully that's it. Can you see the cycle network there now?
No, so we've got connect a device, connect the phone to the computer using a USB cable.
We don't want that.
Device not connected. So maybe if you, yeah, okay. So find the go back to where you were. Go back one. Yeah,
Back
and
into meeting controls.
No, it's close that, and then go to the cycle map. No, go back the other way. Yes. Yep, that's it.
Have you got it now?
No. You need to close that.
Have you got it now?
No. Yes. Well done.
I just had to put it on. I just had to put it on the right screen.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No, that's right.
So look, there's the map of our current cycle network, and it's it's expanded a lot compared to what it was 10 years ago. So I just want you to pay particular attention to the holes, and I don't know whether can you see my mouse moving around?
Yeah.
Particular attention. There's a great big hole out east where there's some cycle lanes, but there's no cycle network, and the other big hole is out towards the airport. Now that'll be addressed in part by the wheels to wings, but the coverage is not thorough yet. So I just want to point out that it's not thorough and there's room to improve there. And what we're asking is that, what we're noting is that the constraints and the reality that we're working within is there's an obesity epidemic in New Zealand, and we're much more inactive than we used to be. There's a climate emergency, and of course we're seeking a road to 0 deaths. We heard from David Hawke before mentioned that there've been 2 deaths in Christchurch this year, and that's 2 too many in any year. So what we're asking is that while you consider your annual plan, you make space for continuing to completion the major cycle route network, including making use of the government funding, which of course gives us much better value for money, and to start on the infill links between the major cycle paths. At the moment, they're just the major paths, but there's a whole lot of opportunities, particularly around schools, to have infill paths so that we get people at an early age to accept physical exercise by way of cycling as the norm, which will be better for themselves, our community, and the planet as time goes on. And also, we ask that you continue the recent moves to differentiate between arterial roads and suburban streets, so to slow down the speeds on the suburban streets. And it's worth being reminded that the risk of death more than doubles from 10 to 25% if the impact speed increases from, sorry about the odd numbers here, but it's a website I got it from 26k to 37k. So that's more than double the speed, and doubles again to a 50% probability of death if the impact speed is 50k. So what you're doing in slowing the speeds down in many areas is really good. But keeping vehicles away from both pedestrians and cyclists is still the safest for all involved. And that's why the major cycle route network is so important. So I'd like to see the council, well, we'd like to see the council work towards a city where anyone from aged from 8 to 80, can safely and enjoyably cycle between any 2 points. That's not saying that every road's got to have cycle lanes on it, or that we've got to have a spaghetti of paths everywhere, but it's making sure that there's enough so that people can get around fully and safely. And I'd ask, as part of your work, that you widen the cycle counter network so that as you make changes, you can actually measure the changes. At the moment, there's very few counters. I'll just show you the map of that. That should show up there. Can you see it now?
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting to see that over the last week, there have been 10,000 cycle movements. That, I believe, is at the Antigua Street Bridge. So it's not a small number of people that are cycling. You average that out, it's 1,500 per day. And on a personal note, I just want to say how excited and grateful I am to see the cycle routes out to Sumner getting close to completion, with works planned or underway in Monks Bay, around Total View, and in Charlesworth Reserve. So, over to questions.
Great, thank you. Do I have any questions? Celeste.
Thank you. We've had a few people comment on the lack of infrastructure out in the east. I just wonder if you had any further thoughts on that. You mentioned suburban linkages, and if you had any thoughts on quick wins in that regard.
Well, when I look out east, I think, were I living in Brighton, which way would I want to cycle into the city? And there is no obvious answer. The cycle route is will go around the Avon River, but as a commuter cyclist, you don't really want to do a 16-kilometre ride when you can do an 8-kilometre ride.
Pages Road's
So
the obvious one, yeah.
Yeah, alongside Pages Road and separated.
Yeah.
You get a whole lot more people who will use these paths if they're separated from the traffic.
Yeah.
And if you were heading, say, north-south, so, you've got connecting up to the coastal pathway, do you see value in something that would connect through, by some means, along the coastal areas, so you can head, say, from South Shore to the northern end? So I'm thinking Marine Parade and other areas like that.
Well, along Marine Parade would be a lovely place to cycle. It'd be nicer, but probably not acceptable to go along the top of the dunes, because that's putting infrastructure on precious land. But being just on the roadside of the dunes would be lovely, because you'd be away from the car traffic.
Yeah, I think that the on top of the dunes is just a flat no from me.
Yeah, I think it is for me too.
I was taking an autocratic view of that. I Oh, there was a question I was going. The Pages Road though, that will require the replacement of the bridge. I mean, that seems to me to be the bridge is the bridge to the projects getting done. It seems to be the thing that's holding us up.
Yes, if you look
Yeah.
at the Ferrymead Bridge, that's been done really well. There are cycle lanes on either side, but you can actually hop off the cycle lanes and you're on a cycle path completely off the road.
I think one of the proposals around the bridge is to have it 2 lanes of vehicle traffic either way, so that literally in an evacuation you could have 4 lanes coming out of New Brighton, which I think would be incredibly helpful. Yep. All right. Well,
The question,
Yep. Sorry, carry on.
the question you ask yourself is, as a parent, would I allow and insert the right age here, whether it's 8, 9, 10, 11 or 12, would I allow my child to cycle unaccompanied along this route?
Yeah.
And that's where we've got to get to, where the answer is yes.
Yeah. Okay. Look, thank you very much, Chris. Your submission's been very well received, and we appreciate all the time and effort that you've gone into presenting today. Thank you.
Well, thank you also, Lynn, and all the best for your future, because I know this is your last term.
Oh, it is indeed. Oh, can you stop your screen sharing now that you took so long to work out how to do it? Can you undo it so that we can?
I'll go back into Zoom and.
That's lovely.
Well, I'm not in there yet.
I'm sure.
Done.
Perfect. Thank you very
And
much.
I'll mute myself too.
Okay. See ya.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
The next is the Christchurch